Welcome to Becoming Your Own BFF with host Randy Havison. Let's agree that life gives us hurdles, but how often do we turn those hurdles into walls? Randy will give you strategies to break down the walls and clear the hurdles that are in your way. The goal of the show is to help you find happiness and joy at levels you didn't even know existed. Becoming Your Own BFF starts now.
Hello, welcome back to this week's episode. Love this whole process. It's like, I know on the days that I'm going to record, I wake up, I start thinking about what am I going to talk about? I take the dog on a walk. I have my morning protein shake. I check my email, and then I come up with my topic for the day. And it's funny because usually I'll come up with something and I'll think about it, and then something else happens and I change my mind. So that happened again today. And I was thinking that one of the things I do on days that I'm going to be recording is I make sure when I wake up, I do one of my ADD meds. And, I didn't get diagnosed until I was 50 years old. And it made a world of difference. And so many pieces of my life before that fell into place of why I couldn't focus and concentrate and get my work done, and why everyone kept saying, Randy, you're so smart. Why can't you just get this done? And I had no idea, because when I was growing up, ADD was not something people talked about. People didn't talk about mental health. People didn't talk about autism and homosexuality and all. We would make fun of people. It's like, oh, you must be gay. And we do things like that. But, it's so cool how today's society is finally, for a better term, waking up to this reality that there are people out there that aren't in the norm. And it's so cool that we're starting to accept these people more and more. And, before I moved here to San Diego, I lived in Florida, and there were a lot more people there with closed minds that were still back in the old way of thinking. And it was so difficult. There were people at my very cool little part-time Disney job. They would say, Randy, you're so woke. And I thought about it. And when I looked at how they defined woke, I thought, yeah, I accept people for who they are. I'm a LGBTQ plus ally. I let people be whoever they are. I believe that people have the right to choose however they want to live their life without other people telling them what they should or should not do. So yeah, I'm woke. And then I realized that the opposite of woke is asleep. And I realized that I'd rather be awoke than asleep. And I love the fact that in today's society, I can talk about mental health. I can say, yes, I have ADD, and I struggle sometimes with anxiety. And it's just something that I've learned to cope with. I've done a lot of therapy, meditation, found a lot of tools that I can use to work through it whenever it comes up. Anxiety for me tends to be looking at this small picture. Oh my God, what am I going to do about this? How's it going to go? And then the anxiety just builds and builds. But when I can kind of look past it, okay, this is something that's going on right now. It's not going to last forever. You're going to be okay. You always have been in the past. And I do a lot of self-talk, and especially because I am my own BFF, I'm gentle and kind with myself. And when I have anxiety, I don't feed it. I honor it. I acknowledge it. I see it for what it is, because my anxiety is not a bad thing. My anxiety keeps me aware of the things going on around me. Now, at times it's too, laser focused, and I need to kind of back up the perspective a little bit. And that's where my falcon comes in handy, my falcon right there. Falcon is the spirit animal for my third eye chakra. So I know that might be a little out there, but my brand of spirituality goes beyond any one form. And I love the chakras and the energy that's involved with all of them. When I started doing more work around that, I found that when I could focus on that and kind of express that and feel it, I was happier, and things tended to make more sense. So I found this coach, and we worked on what are the spirit animals for each of my chakras. And my third eye is Falcon, which allows me, when I focus and I meditate and I think about what is Falcon saying right now, the short term might seem really chaotic, but Falcon says, dude, if you can see what I can see in your future, you're going to be okay. Just keep walking through this, like Dory, just keep swimming. And I do. And that's what gives me the strength and the courage to keep on moving forward, because I know that my future is so bright and all the things that are coming into play right now. Oh my God, I wish I could tell you about everything happening right now, but my team has said, let's just kind of keep things under wraps until we're really ready to, put this out there. But I'm really, really excited. And you know what? If you want to keep up with updates, shoot me an email, randy@randyhavison.com, and I will put you on the mailing list. And when we start unpacking some of these things and notifying people, you'll be one of the first people that we let know. Living in today's society, and what I really like about the Gen Z, and now we have a Gen A. I didn't even know that, but we have a new one starting now. It's much more open. And I notice, I have a daughter who's a Gen Z, and she doesn't see color and religion and sexual identity and gender identity as being things that you judge or don't judge. She just sees people as people. And it's so cool to watch that as they interact with each other and as they connect with each other. Those aren't the criteria that they look for. And I think that it's pretty antiquated now, that we have these old views that if you're not living within this box, you're wrong, you're bad, you're somehow deranged. I was talking to someone yesterday who has a son who's autistic. And when he was growing up, he's in his 30s now, but when he was growing up, he was told that he was mentally retarded. That was the term that they used for him. And I think about that now. It's like, oh my God, that is so horrific. But we're evolving past that, and we realize, and some people say, all of a sudden we're aware of this. Now, all of a sudden, all these kids are gay and all these kids are trans and all these people are autistic. And it's just because we're talking about it now. And my thought is, no, they've always been there. I remember one guy who said, remember that uncle you had who was very into electric trains and had them everywhere? Yeah, that uncle was probably autistic, but it wasn't diagnosed back then. And the people who were functioning were able to go on with their lives, even though they had autism and were on the spectrum more towards a functioning space. But the others, man, I feel bad. But you know what? I don't need to feel bad. It's the way it was, but it's not the way it is. And we get to be the change makers. We get to be the difference makers. And when you hear someone say, oh, what's wrong with that person? Oh, they're gay. It's like, so what? They're gay. It doesn't affect you. They're not going to spray gay powder on you and all of a sudden you're going to be gay. It doesn't work that way. I mean, I remember I used to work with this guy at one of my universities, and he said, it really bugs me when people say being gay is my choice. It's not my choice. It's just who I am. He said, when I was growing up in a small town in the Northeast, I was picked on and bullied and beaten up and looked down at. I mean, I didn't have any friends in high school. It was miserable. If gay was a choice, why would I choose that? Think about that. Tell the people that are still in this line that gay is a choice. That's not the way it is. It is not a choice. Being trans is not a choice. I have a very good friend whose daughter is trans, and it was difficult growing up, and the father wouldn't accept it. And my friend was very accepting and let her be who she was. And the kid is thriving more than she would if she was forced to stay in the male form. It's just not who she is. And it's so cool now that we're more accepting, and it needs to, we're not there yet, but we're on our way there. And every one of us makes a difference of going this way or that way. So you get to choose which way you are. And I'm guessing because you're listening to this show that you're of this like mind. You might not be. You might still think that, "Ugh, I'm not going to hang out with those people." But you know what? Those people might have a lot to offer. You never know where the gifts of life are going to come from. The universe gives us these amazing gifts if we're open to them. If you're one of those people that says, "Oh, why am I always in traffic?" And, "Oh, I hate my job. And why do I always get stuck in the longest line in the grocery store?" The universe is like, "Oh, you want to get stuck in traffic? Oh, you want to be in the longest line oh, you want to be in a miserable job?" And it reinforces whatever our thoughts are and wherever our energy goes. So if we turn that around and we start saying, "You know what? Let me see, which line do I want to get in? And yeah, it's okay to be in traffic. I'm just going to listen to this podcast. It's not that bad. Now I get to finish the podcast before I get home. Nice." Then the universe will reward you for the things that you put out there. I rarely get stuck in traffic. You know, there's this concert venue that I've been to a couple times, and the first time I looked at the map and I saw, it's like, "Oh man, I'm going to be stuck in traffic." And guess what? I was stuck in traffic. Before I left the second time, I thought, I wonder if there are any alternatives. And I looked at the map and went, "Oh, if I just go there instead of there, I'm not going to be in traffic." And I did that route, and maybe it was like 3 miles longer, but guess what? I wasn't stuck in traffic. So I invite you to start shifting the mindset of, "Why does this always happen to me?" to, "Wow, it's so cool that this keeps happening to me." When I tell people I've been in San Diego now for almost 2 months, they're like, "Wow, you have done so much and made so many connections. And you've been like just blowing up since you got here." And yeah, I have. It's been amazing. And I'm having so much fun going to concerts, meeting people, going to book clubs. I was invited to a movie club with a bunch of men, and it's so cool. And I found an awesome massage therapist, and I live in this great neighborhood, and I keep meeting all these really cool people and these awesome restaurants right across the street from me. When you tune into the energy of the universe and keep a positive attitude as best you can, because the more you practice that, the more able you are to maintain that. And yeah, I'm not going to sit here all Pollyanna and say that life is all roses. It's not. I have some things that weigh on me, things that I wish were going a different way, but right now they're not. But I walk through it and I do the best I can on a daily basis, sometimes an hourly basis, to keep my side of the street clean, to not allow people to get into my boundary space. I have my boundaries. And yes, I will be empathetic and supportive and all that. But when it gets to be too much and takes too much of my energy, I put up boundaries. I'm like, you know what? That's not okay. And it's hard to do. And I'm confronted right now with a few situations that are sad and frustrating. And it's hurtful, but it's okay. And it's going to be okay. And it's going to work itself out one way or the other. But I get to choose what my attitude is today. So do I want to focus on the things that aren't going well? No, I'll deal with that and I'll work on it. But I'd rather focus on the multitude of things that are just unfreaking believable today. So that's where my energy goes. Now, when one of those things pops up and I need to put some energy into that, okay, I'll do it. But then I come back over here. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have fun today. I'm going to have an awesome day. And I am. I have so many fun things planned today. Some are going to be taxing and energy draining, but the end result of what I'm putting the energy into, and you're going to find out about this in a little while, probably a few weeks, just amazing. I'm so blessed and so grateful. Keeping that attitude of gratitude, even when there are things not going well, I look for the things to be grateful for, and it kind of shifts my perspective. So if you do that too, man, you're going to be golden. Absolutely. Like last week, Emily Golden. Oh man, how awesome is she? And those are one of the people that I connect with when I open myself up to, hey, I want to meet some awesome people and connect with people that are like-minded. It's so cool to be able to meet people like her. And I just am so grateful, so grateful. So let's accept people who they are. Let's accept ourselves for who we are. The parts you do like, the parts you don't like. Because am I perfect? Absolutely not. Do I make mistakes? Absolutely, on a regular basis. And I have people in my life who are always willing to point that out. But I'm working on it. And I just broke a huge pattern of mine. And I'm so proud of myself for that. And there's another one that I'm working on now. I've identified it and I'm going to start working through it so that it is no longer a negative pattern in my life. So I'm getting there. We are all a work in progress. We are never done. Again, I say it all the time. Perfection is an illusion. It doesn't exist. When it comes to who we are, it doesn't exist. And if the goal is perfection, when perfection is what you're striving for, you lose a part of your humanity. And let's not do that. Let's embrace our humanity. I love my imperfections. Now I laugh at them. I don't get down on myself for them. I laugh at myself for them. It's like, oh my God, Randy, you did that again? Yeah, I did it again. Okay, maybe next time you won't. And sometimes I don't. And then I walk through and it's like, ooh, I did it different this time. Yeah. So we're all works in progress. So give yourself some grace. Even by listening to this, you're doing something more positive for yourself. And that's what it's about. One of the things that I love to discuss, and I spend a lot of time in my book discussing this topic, which is that we have, well, let me put it this way. I think we would all agree that life gives us hurdles. And I also believe that life gives us the ability and the tools in order to clear those hurdles and learn from them. So life gives us hurdles, but what we tend to do is we turn those hurdles into walls. And a hurdle is much easier to get over than a wall. So the universe gives us the tools to clear the hurdle, but we've turned the hurdle into a wall. Now we go to jump the hurdle and boom, we slam right into the wall. And we wonder, ow, that hurt. What was that about? It's because your hurdle has become a wall. And again, I go into much more depth in the book about this, but I want to talk about it now just to kind of introduce the idea to get you thinking about this in a different way. That the way we turn our hurdles into walls is through the way we talk to ourselves. And I call them obstacle words and obstacle phrases that we use that turn hurdles into walls. And one of the main ones that we use that turns a hurdle into a wall is the word should. I should exercise more. I should eat better. I should get out of this relationship. I should quit drinking. I should quit smoking. I should. All we end up doing is shoulding all over ourselves. And it does you no good. Should is one of those words that needs to be taken out of your vocabulary because should turns hurdles into walls. There are alternative words that you can use. It's not, I should quit smoking. I mean, if you smoke, you know it would be a good idea to quit smoking. But I got to tell you, it's really hard to quit smoking. I know that. I used to smoke. And after I quit drinking and using, I still smoke cigarettes. And I remember every now and then, it's like, I should quit smoking. And I didn't. And because it scared me. And I thought, I don't know if I can do this. And then one time, I don't know if I've told this before. I did a talk one time for some seventh and eighth graders about just say no to drugs and don't do drugs. And I used my own personal story to talk about that. And I'm not like a don't do drugs kind of person. I'm like, look, I didn't listen and I got into it. In the beginning, it was a lot of fun. You know, don't let people tell you it's bad from the beginning because I was having a blast. But all of a sudden it turned on me. And before I knew it, it had a hold of me. And I lost jobs and I got kicked out of school and I lost friendships and spent a lot of money that I didn't really have. And life was really, really difficult. And then I realized after I hit my bottom that I needed to get sober. And I was talking about that during the presentation. And the kids were like, whoa. And I was telling them stories and engaging. And I love speaking in front of an audience. That's like one of my natural highs. And at the end, I said, does anyone have any questions? And they're asking really good questions. And this little 7th grade girl raises her hand and she said, well, do you smoke cigarettes? And I said, well, yeah, I still do quit. I still do smoke cigarettes. Well, nicotine's a drug, and if you're smoking cigarettes, you're still doing drugs. My grandfather, he smoked cigarettes and he died. You're still doing drugs. And I thought, you little shit. Oh, but she was right. Here I am. I'm talking about don't do drugs, and I'm sticking a drug in my mouth 20 times a day. And I realized after that I had to quit. I remember I went to my therapy session that week and I told my therapist what happened. And I said, yeah. And she said, you're still doing drugs. And he laughed. He said, so are you ready? Is it time to quit? And I said, yeah, it's time to quit. He said, great. I know this really good program. You can join it. It's 6 weeks long. You don't quit smoking until your 3rd week. See what happens. Give it a shot. So I joined the not quit smoking program. And I got into it in February. I didn't know this. I got to smoke for 3 weeks. They let you do that. And you lower the nicotine rate by going to cigarettes that had less nicotine content. So by the time you really quit, there was less nicotine in your system. And the addiction part didn't have you as much of a hold. So, that last week I was doing like Benson and Hedges lights. It was miserable. I couldn't wait to quit. By the time I got there, it was like smoking air. It was miserable. But when I looked at the date of when I was going to be a non-smoker, that date was March 8th, my birthday. Coincidence or a gift from the universe? You can look at it either way. So I quit smoking on my birthday. And that was 8 years ago, 37 and a half years ago. Oh, love it. Love it. So I quit on my birthday. And it wasn't that I should quit smoking. When I was finally ready, when I said, it's not about I should quit smoking. I am going to quit smoking. And yes, I'm scared. And yes, this was like one of my favorite crutches. And it was hard to quit but one of the things that I really liked is it said there are 2 things to address when you quit smoking. There's the addiction part, but there's the habit part. So it's important to address the habits. What are the times that you smoke more than any other? I was like, first thing in the morning, after a meal, in the car. So I had to list all of them. And then I put alternative coping strategies. And I did everything I was supposed to do. And on March 8th, I quit smoking. So look at the shoulds you have in your life. I should quit drinking. Is it hard? Yes. So replace the should with what it actually is. Part of this process of building self-esteem is being honest with yourself and not using the old projections and defensiveness and ducking and weaving what really is. So it's not, I should quit drinking. I'm afraid to quit drinking. I don't want to quit drinking. Okay, well, can you cut down? And if you're not able to cut down, if you've lost control of how much or how often you drink, that's called alcoholism. Hard fact. So it's not, I should get up earlier. I should exercise more. Do you want to exercise more? Do you want to make the time to take 15 minutes after you get home from work and just walk around the block? Just go for a 15-minute walk, 20-minute walk, or 10-minute walk to start. Walk for 5 minutes away from where you live and then walk back. You've just done a 10-minute walk. You've just exercised. It's not, I should exercise. Now you get to say, I exercised. It doesn't have to be buy new clothes, go to a gym, join the membership, no. Exercise is really simple and some really easy things that you can do, like walking or swimming or whatever is you think is going to help you get motivated to do it more. Because walking for 10 minutes turns into walking for 15 minutes, walking for 20 minutes. So the little steps lead to big steps. So it's not should. It's I'm afraid to. I don't want to. I don't have time to, but that's a deflection too. We always can make time. I have people say, I'm too busy. It's like, what if your best friend called and said, I'm going through a really rough time. Can we go meet for coffee? Would you do it? Absolutely. You would take an hour out of your day to go make time for your best friend. So if you become your best friend and your best friend says, I really want to start an exercise program. I think I'm going to start walking, or I'm going to go bike riding, or I'm going to go jogging, or I'm going to go hiking, whatever it is, whatever. Pick whatever you think is going to be easiest for you. Go for it. Go for it. You know, we tend to be the ones who get in our own way more than anything else. And I say this all the time. Anything is possible if you just get out of your own way. I was kicked out of college, expelled from college twice, fired from a job delivering pizza, sitting in my bedroom with a knife in my hand, debating which wrist I was going to slice open first. And I did the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. I reached out for help. Today, I have a master's degree in counseling. I'm a certified life coach. I'm an author of 3 books. I do a podcast every week that I am just so happy about. I do 2, actually. I have friends in my life who love me for who I am. I have an amazing life. I mean, if you could see the view from my balcony right now, the sunset view, it's crazy amazing. I am so blessed. I don't want you to think that this was easy. I mean, I struggled for years until I learned I didn't have to struggle anymore. I could just walk through it. And I learned the tools, and all the tools that I've learned over the past 40 years, I put into my book. It's only 131 pages. And I talk about it here, but my book is really the easiest way to really get the info. If you really want to make some shifts and changes in your life, you can do it. Because if I can do it, you can do it. I know that. So no more shitting on yourself. Accept yourself and other people for being who they are. Do your best not to judge. I'm still judgmental sometimes, a lot sometimes. But do your best. That's all you have to do. So I hope you got something out of this. I know I did. I really enjoyed doing this and sharing this. So I hope you have an awesome week. Do the little things, because the little things turn into big things. And hopefully I'll see you again next week, or you'll hear me again next week. And have a good one. Take care. Bye.
You've been listening to Becoming Your Own BFF with your host, Randy Havison. Tune in every Friday at 1:30 Pacific on transformationtalkradio.com for more tools to stop being your own worst bully and start becoming your own best friend. Learn essential skills to boost self-esteem and overcome the devastating effects of ego. By focusing on physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being, you can start listening to your best friend voice rather than your inner bully voice. For more information, visit randyhavison.com.